Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to wish everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year as well. But heading into 2023, I wanted to make a video talking about some things that I wanted to see from the Maple Leafs heading into the new year that I think can really take their game to the next level. The first thing on that list being an upgrade at the second line left wing position. Because if we're looking through all the numbers at 5-on-5 so far this year, despite all their injuries on the blue line, they've actually been a much better defensive team than they have been offensively this season, being top 10 or even top 5 in several defensive categories. And that's almost the polar opposite than what it's been in years past. They've made huge strides defensively, not just on the blue line, but as a team so far this season. Guys like Ilya Mikheyev and Michael Bunting and Alex Kerfoot and Pierre Engvall and Ondřej Kase were all pretty steady contributors for the Maple Leafs in the regular season last year. But when it came time for the playoffs and that series against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they got just 2 goals from all of those guys with an actual goalie in the net. So in recent years, whether it's the top-end guys struggling to score against the Montreal Canadiens or more of their depth players struggling to score against the Lightning, it's clear that the Maple Leafs could use a little bit more help there. So far on the channel, we've talked about a number of forwards who should be available at the trade deadline, but it really all depends on if Jake Muzzin remains on LTIR for the remainder of the regular season anyway, and by all accounts, it sounds like that's going to be the case, but you just never know. But if he is going to be on LTIR, they should be able to afford to upgrade this team in a really meaningful way. And if that is the case, and they're in a position to add big come the deadline, my number one target as of right now is San Jose Sharks forward Timo Meier. Timo Meier is a 26-year-old winger who's currently tied with William Nylander for the 15th most goals scored in the NHL over the last 2 seasons. And because Meier is set to be an RFA at the end of this season, it presents a really interesting scenario if the Maple Leafs were to acquire him. Because no matter what way you shake it, acquiring a guy like Timo Meier is going to be expensive, even if it's a different forward of his same caliber. Someone maybe like Ryan O'Reilly or Bo Horvat, it's going to be very expensive. But because he's an RFA at the end of this season and those other guys are UFAs, the Maple Leafs could be in a position where if they can't afford to re-sign him, well, maybe they could at least flip his rights to another team. And obviously they're not going to get back anything close to what they paid for him, but maybe you might be able to mitigate the cost a little bit. And obviously that niche tidbit amount of information is cool, but it's not the only reason why he's number 1 on my trade list right now. He's number 1 on my trade list right now because if the Leafs need help scoring goals in the playoffs, he's the number 1 goal scorer available right now. Not only that, but in years past, a knock on him is maybe he hasn't been the greatest defensive player, but if we're looking at the numbers so far this season, the San Jose Sharks are actually a much better team defensively when he's on the ice compared to when he's not. And he's made that improvement while still maintaining the elite level of offense that he's produced the last couple of years. As long as it doesn't cost the Maple Leafs one of Sandin, Liljegren, or Matthew Knies, go out and pay whatever it costs. Meanwhile, since actually getting an opportunity to play in the Maple Leafs top 6 and also returning from injury, Calle Jarnkrok has 8 points in his last 7 games. And yeah, the shooting percentage isn't going to sustain itself, but who knew that the guy who's made a career out of playing on the wing and complimenting skill players in the top 6 would be good again if you just played him in that role? You know, it's weird. Square peg fits into square hole. It's not like we made a video or anything when the Maple Leafs first signed him here on the channel saying, hey, maybe he wasn't that great in Calgary and Seattle last year because they refused to play him in the role that he was great in for over 8 years in Nashville. The second thing on my list for the Maple Leafs in 2023 is just to get healthy. And yeah, I know that maybe that's a bit out of their control, but they've been the second most injured team in the NHL to this point, and they still find themselves top 3 in the league in points so far. If they could just get healthy, maybe they could build some more chemistry and some more consistency, and be even better than what they've been. The second thing on this list and the third thing kind of go hand in hand because with the Maple Leafs placing Victor Mete and Nick Robertson on LTIR the other day, they're more than likely preparing for Morgan Rielly to make his return any day now. And yet, the team is 12-2-1 without Morgan Rielly in the lineup this season, but that doesn't mean that they don't need him entirely or that they're better off without him. They've gotten guys to take steps in their development over the last couple of months, and they've gotten some other players to fill big-time minutes. I think all that it means is that when he comes back, the Maple Leafs can feel good about spreading the minutes around and maybe not using him as much or relying upon him as much situationally, because Morgan's never been the best defensive defenseman, and now that they know that they could trust other guys on the team, maybe everybody benefits. In a roundabout way, what I'm trying to say is that less may be more, but for everybody. Because ever since they've actually gotten an opportunity to play together in top 4 minutes, both Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren have been awesome for the Maple Leafs at 5-on-5, where they're controlling over 80% of the actual goals that are scored and the majority of both the quantity and quality of the scoring opportunities. But it's not just those two guys. Guys like Connor Timmins and Jordy Ben, albeit in limited samples, have also been very good for the Maple Leafs in depth roles so far this season. It's going to be a real challenge to see who actually plays once everyone is healthy. For as well as both Connor Timmins and Jordy Ben have played so far this year, I mean, especially Connor Timmins, who's making a real bid to remain in this lineup once everyone is healthy. When everyone is healthy, I don't know if there's room for him or not. And, you know, for a guy like Mark Giordano, who's 39 and has been excellent so far this year, there is a case to rest him here and there, and maybe you find time for him there. But for a guy like Justin Hall, who fills a specific role on this team, and that's on the penalty kill, Connor Timmins doesn't necessarily do that. So you can't necessarily make that one-for-one swap. And I'm not saying that having depth is a problem. They're going to need these guys eventually, but the Maple Leafs have 8 NHL caliber defensemen, and I don't think I've ever been able to say that. For the struggles that they had to start this season, for all the injuries that they've had on the blue line and in net as well, Sheldon Keefe deserves some sort of credit here for getting these guys in the lineup and getting them to play the right way, the way that they want to play, and the way that they need to play in order to be successful. So just to go over it once again, in 2023, what I want to see from the Maple Leafs is I want to see them go out and acquire an upgrade at the second line left wing position. I know we said Jarnkrok has been great over there for the last little while, but that's not necessarily something that I'm willing to bet on or gamble over. I want some more certainty there because scoring in the playoffs has been an issue for the Maple Leafs over the last couple of years. The second thing that I want to see from them in 2023 is I want to see them get healthy. I know that that may be a bit out of their control, but building chemistry and having some consistency in the lineup come playoff time is very important. And the third thing kind of goes hand in hand with that second thing, but when Morgan Rielly comes back into this lineup, I want to see them spread those minutes out because the other guys on that blue line have shown that they're more than capable of handling it. So hopefully the Maple Leafs can accomplish those things in 2023, because if they can, this team's going to be very special. They overcame adversity at the beginning of the year, you know, going through that extended slump. They've overcome a bunch of injuries so far, and they've just found ways to win on a nightly basis, which is something that we haven't necessarily seen from this team in years past. They've got the defense, they've got the goaltending to back it up. Let's just see if they can go out there and actually do it. So that's going to be it for the video, guys. Make sure to like it if you did like it and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. Guys, I hope you had an amazing holidays, and I want to wish you guys a happy new year as well, and I'll see you in the next one.